Hello everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Tiebreak. We've got a preview of the US Open men's singles final, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by my good friend for this, John Pennington, editor of Cricket World. John, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you, Aaron. How are you?
Doing very well. I think we're all just about recovering from the shocking events, aren't we, last night in Flushing Meadows. It was quite a turn-up, wasn't it?
A massive turn-up. I mean, these guys in the final, like maybe sort of 5 and 10, but nobody expected, Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer to not get through. And it's been such a long time since we've had a Grand Slam final without Federer or Djokovic or Nadal or Murray, hasn't it?
Absolutely, JP. I think we have to go back to 2005, the Australian Open, for the last time that none of those four featured, and that was when Safin took on Hewitt. So it's almost like another generation since this has last happened, and it's an incredible thing to have happened. The last time we had a US Open final without any of those four, you have to go further back to 2003 for Roddick against Juan Carlos Ferrero. So quite a turn of events yesterday, wasn't it, JP?
It certainly was, and we talk a lot about upsets, don't we, and comebacks and things, but to have them both was quite remarkable. If we sort of start looking ahead to the final, I mean, just having a little look at their respective routes through. I mean, Cilic, he's got through the quarterfinal, semi-final in straight sets. We talked about Nishikori and how he'd been maybe a bit more tested, and he's come through some five-setters. Which do you think will sort of benefit most from the respective runs through they've had?
It's a tough one to say. I think Nishikori has definitely been tested, but he's had a very difficult draw. He's beaten the world number 5, as you say, in Raonic, tough 5-set match. The world number 4 in Stanislav Wawrinka, Australian Open champion, 5-set match, and obviously the world number 1. So he's definitely match tight. Is he a little bit tired? He was starting to look a little bit wary in the 4th set, but he's full of confidence now, so he'll be ready for it. Cilic, as you say, he did have a tough 5-set match earlier in the tournament against Jules Simon, a guy that he had never beaten before, and he came through this time. But I mean, he's beaten Federer and Berdych in 3 straight sets. Now, you can't really say he wasn't tested, because Federer didn't actually play that bad a match. It was just that Cilic almost had the match of his life. He served amazingly, didn't miss a forehand, and it was just one of those days. So there's so many intangibles. It's really difficult to say who benefits. I think if Cilic's fresh and plays like he did yesterday, he's got a good chance.
Yeah, because I was just also having a look at their sort of previous records, and Cilic has won 11 major titles. He's reached the semi-final of the Grand Slam before, which is it's more than twice as many titles as Nishikori's won, and this is his first time he's got past a quarter-final. So to me, that would sort of make Cilic the favourite. But where do you stand on that?
It's a tough one, JP, because if you look at the overall head-to-head, I believe it's 5-2 to Nishikori, and Nishikori's won their 2 matches this year. But if we look at just at the US Open, they have actually met twice at the US Open, and they're level. They're 1-1, and both were very, very tough matches. So I think we almost got to discount the head-to-head record to an extent. It may play a part at some point in time, but I think the level that these two guys are both playing, having beaten Federer and Djokovic, we have to almost look past it. And I think what also is an interesting intangible, we talked about those big 4 guys and what they've done the last 10 years. We've had a few sort of surprise finals, if you like, David Ferrer, Tsonga, guys like this have come through. But it's almost been a case of they've come through to the final, but now they have to play against Djokovic or they have to play against Nadal or Federer. So it's almost like a lot of guys have been competing to become the runner-up or to be the best of the rest. But you've got 2 guys here in a final for the first time against another guy who's never been in a final. So you just wonder what that's going to do to them. Is they going to play on their nerves a little bit more? Maybe they're in a final they expect they can win rather than being an underdog. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well.
Yeah, it's going to be the first time for a while that we're going to have 2 new major champions in a season. And my final question really, Aaron, before we maybe think about making a prediction, is what sort of game can we expect from these two? Would it be sort of a mixed-up game, or what sort of game do you predict?
Yeah, it's a good question, JP, because the way Cilic served yesterday was quite incredible. I mean, his coach is Goran Ivanisevic, and some people were saying on Twitter it was almost as if Ivanisevic had almost gone inside Cilic's body and, was serving like him, because, I mean, the way he closed out that game with just 3 aces to get to 40 love, and then he just looked so relaxed. But Federer admittedly didn't quite return the way he would have liked. I mean, usually he does a good job of getting those first serves back and getting into a rally. If Nishikori's fresh, I mean, he does seem to have the game that seems to cancel out a lot of these big players, like the way he took it to Raonic, who's also a huge server. He lived with Djokovic, obviously Wawrinka. They're all guys who are big hitters, so it does make me think that Cilic's going to have a great serving day Otherwise, Nishikori will be able to kind of neutralise that serves and kind of get it back. So it's a very exciting matchup, I mean, for so many reasons.
Certainly is, and I suppose better finish by making our predictions. I'm going to go purely with what I perceive to be the form book anyway. I'm going to go with Cilic. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cilic as well. I really feel like Goran Ivanisevic has made a big difference. He took Djokovic to 5 sets at Wimbledon this year, and yeah, I just think it's going to be Cilic in 4 sets. But the way this tournament's gone, you know, we all thought we were going to be looking at a Djokovic Federer final. Who knows? But I think it is great for the game as well. It's great to have 2 new faces who look as if they're going to be around for a while. So, and one other thing to add, JP, as well, I think a lot of people are saying this is, you know, it's come out of the blue, and that it has to an extent, but this year has felt, I wrote a piece for this for a Canadian magazine a while back before the US Open, that there has felt like there's a bit of change in the air with Wawrinka winning in Australia. Even at Wimbledon, we had 2 perceived youngsters in Raonic and Dimitrov coming to the semis. The only difference was they both lost to Djokovic and Federer respectively. I guess the only difference here is we haven't had one upset, we've had the double upset. So it has been on the cards for a while, I suppose, and finally it's happening.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The fact that you've had Murray coming back from injury, you've had Nadal injured, yes, well, that's possibly been a little bit of added to that factor as well, hasn't it? There's been more opportunities, I suppose, for players to come through, you know, slightly weaker tournaments, I should say. So, yeah, absolutely. You know, it'd be very interesting to see next year whether some of these guys can join the top 4 and we have a top 6, top 8. Could be absolutely fantastic battling it out in the coming years.
Absolutely. So yeah, so you say you've got that, and it'll be interesting to see how the big 4 guys kind of bounce back, because they do say that maybe this is the motivation they need, isn't it? Saying some of these youngsters coming up and now winning slams, it might. I mean, we do feel Murray next year will probably be a bit closer to his best. We have to see how Nadal comes back. So I think it's exciting times for men's tennis, that's for sure.
Certainly is.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Let us know who you think's going to win tomorrow. I mean. Give us your predictions. Don't forget to follow us and tweet us on @TieBreak Sports, and we'll hear from you soon. Thanks a lot for your time as well, JP.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.